Finally, someone in a position of authority in the NBA has voiced a frustration that fans have been feeling all season. Hell, this has been a main point of contention in the NBA for years now. LeBron James has been vocal about it, but the problem when this frustration comes from LeBron James, a lot of people don't take it all that seriously. Now, I don't always agree with him, but when it comes to the officiating in the NBA, LeBron James is absolutely right. Before we get started, though, I want to make one thing perfectly clear. Yes, the NBA has a very serious problem when it comes to how these games are being called by the officials. But I feel like there's a lot of misplaced blame here. Fans, coaches, players, everyone is putting all of the blame on NBA officials. NBA officials, they're just doing their job. From a fan's perspective, they are horrible at their jobs, but from the perspective of the NBA front office, NBA officials, they are doing exactly what they're being told to do. I don't put all the blame on the officials. I put a lot of the blame on Adam Silver. Adam Silver and the NBA front office, they have taken the physicality out of this league. If you guys follow me on Twitter, you know how pissed off I was after the Pelicans-Rockets game on Friday night. It is rare for me to blame the officiating for a loss. In most cases, I feel like blaming the officials is a cop-out. It's taking the easy way out. NBA officials, they do have a tough job. The pace of play in this league is extremely fast. So I'm not expecting perfection. What I do expect is competence, consistency. And look, the Pelicans weren't blameless in their loss Friday night. When points off of turnovers is sitting at 27-4 in the other team's favor, kind of hard to win. Also kind of hard to win when you completely collapse with 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Make no mistake about it, the Pelicans, they deserve to lose that game. However, the officiating had a massive impact on the outcome of that game, and that should never be the case. It's inexcusable. Now, fans of the Rockets, they were claiming this game was called fairly. The officials were against us for 2 or 3 quarters. Y'all shot more free throws. Yeah, that's true. I guess those are valid points, but here's the thing. Everything in the NBA is situational. The Pelicans were getting calls throughout most of the game, but when it mattered most, when the game was on the line during the final minutes of the fourth quarter, the officiating completely fell apart. Dillon Brooks had 5 fouls going into that fourth quarter. This dude was literally pushing Brandon Ingram to the floor. No foul was called. While on the other end, Jonas Valanciunas does an excellent job blocking a shot. His left hand barely caresses the opponent's back. If this same thing had happened at ESPN, it would be called a woke hug. The touch was that light. JV is called for a foul, fouls out of the game. I said it the other night, the Houston Rockets, they won that game mostly because their players were better actors. One of the biggest problems with the officiating in this league, there's just no explanation for it. No one knows what's considered a foul. A foul in the fourth quarter, it's not called in the first quarter. Smaller defenders are given far more leeway when they are defending against bigger players. Zion Williamson can be brutalized when driving the paint, but if you breathe on Steph Curry when he's taking a 3, it's a foul. Star players are given calls that role players just aren't getting. There is no consistency to how these games are being called, and God forbid a player or coach complains about the officiating. Can't do that. No. You can't do that. How dare you complain about our officials? While we were watching the Pelicans game the other night, I could hear the frustration in the voice of Antonio Daniels. My girlfriend asked me, how come he doesn't call out this shitty officiating? I told her he can't do it. League won't allow it. Hell, with an announcer, he risks losing his job if he calls out the atrocious officiating in this league. Now, my Pelicans, we were not the only team that fell victim to the horrific officiating in the NBA Friday night. The Memphis Grizzlies found themselves on the wrong side of NBA officials too. Headline at SB Nation, Jazz stumble into victory over the Grizzlies. Yeah, that headline is partially correct. What it should really say is NBA officials insert the supersized cucumber into the Grizzlies' ass, because that is exactly what happened Friday night. Grizzlies forward Jaren Jackson Jr. This dude is the consummate professional. Now, obviously, I don't watch all the games in Memphis, but the Pelicans, they play the Grizzlies 4 times every year. There are star players in this league that are constantly whining to the officials, constantly looking for foul calls. Luka Doncic, he's always complaining. Hell, that dude complains about not getting calls during pregame warmups. Draymond Green is another one that is a professional whiner. Jaren Jackson, he ain't one of those players. At least when he's playing against the Pelicans, I have rarely seen this dude complaining to the officials. Friday night, Jaren Jackson Jr., he makes a contested layup, obviously fouled on it. Not once, but twice. He makes the layup. He is visibly upset that a foul wasn't called. Now, this is no exaggeration. He makes the layup, throws his hands in the air just like this, and within 1 second, the official gives him a technical foul and ejects him from the game. Something similar happened the other night to Giannis, where he was ejected from the game for apparently no reason at all. So it's not just role players that are affected by this horrendous officiating. Star players, they are being affected too. After the game, Grizzlies head coach Taylor Jenkins, he unloads on NBA officials. And credit to Taylor Jenkins for having the balls to do this. I wish Pelicans head coach Willie Green had some of this fire inside of him. Taylor Jenkins, he addresses the media. He told them exactly what he thought about the shitty officiating in this league. Watch for yourself.
One of the most poorly officiated games I've ever seen. Record it. I'm fine with it. Fucking atrocious. Jaren Jackson plays 23 minutes and is in the paint all night. He's one of the most professional players in this league and gets a double technical foul. And the excuse I get is that he's charging at an official. 29 free throws to 13. And I'm not that coach. You can go back in the history. I've done this one other time. And this is what happens. The interactions right now with the officials, complete disrespect. I know what's coming. It's unbelievable the looks on the faces when I'm trying to engage in conversation to defend our guys that are busting their tail right now. Busting their tail. And Jaren Jackson's one of the most professional guys. And if you go watch the play, 2 possessions in a row, he gets hacked underneath the basket, 0 free throw attempts. In the heat of the battle, when conversations are trying to be had, notices trying to be made on things that are happening, and there's not the enforcement of it. It blows my mind.
I haven't seen anything just yet from the NBA front office, but I would imagine that later today or tomorrow morning, Adam Silver is going to issue a steep fine to Taylor Jenkins. And look, in a way, Adam Silver doesn't really have a choice here. Other leagues have similar policies where coaches and players are not allowed to criticize the officials. I understand why you have to have a policy like that in place. I mean, you don't want players and coaches blaming officials every time they lose a game. Damages the credibility of your league. So I understand why Adam Silver is essentially forced to fine Taylor Jenkins. But that does not mean Taylor Jenkins is wrong here. Officiating in the NBA, it has been historically bad this season. The officials, they are literally ruining some of these games. They clearly favor one team over the other. Remember last January when LeBron James complained about the officiating? I think they lost to the Celtics that night. The game was being broadcast on ABC. I think it was on a Saturday night. LeBron was fouled late in the game. The officials didn't call it. Lakers ended up losing. For the first time, possibly ever, the NBA front office, they actually reviewed the footage. They come out publicly and admit that the officials made a mistake. Now, maybe that's happened before. If it has, I don't remember it. There was so much backlash after that game, Adam Silver was essentially forced to do something about it. Now, did the officiating improve throughout the NBA the rest of the season? I mean, sure, if you were LeBron James and the Lakers. Go look at the free throw stats for the Lakers after that game in January. The Lakers led the league in free throws the rest of the season, and it wasn't even close. I think they had a couple hundred more free throw attempts than the team that ranked in second. Every single game after that one game in January, the officials, they were biased towards the Lakers. They were giving them every call. I'm trying not to be a prisoner of the moment here, but I just can't remember another time when the officiating throughout the NBA has been this bad. It's not like we have one team or one player complaining about the officials. We are seeing complaints throughout the entire league. This is something that Adam Silver's got to address. The NBA, more than any other professional league, they have got to be careful when it comes to how their officials are being perceived. Why? Anyone remember Tim Donaghy? It's already been proven that an NBA official was fixing games so he and his partners in the butt bongo could make millions of dollars gambling on them. In terms of athleticism, there has never been more talent in the NBA than what we have today. Teams are scoring 100 points with ease. Hell, there is so much talent on the court, a team can score 100 points in 3 quarters. But in terms of physicality, the NBA has never been less physical. This is why I'm not putting all the blame on NBA officials. Like I said in the beginning, they're just doing their jobs. The officials, they are doing what they're being told to do. The problems in any organization, they always start at the top. I put most of the blame on Adam Silver. Adam Silver has completely removed the physicality from the NBA. Do you guys remember when we used to see fights in this league? I'm sure some of my older viewers remember the fights that we used to see in the NBA. Now, I'm not talking about literal fist fights, although we used to see those happen every so often. I'm talking about players getting into each other's faces. I'm talking about the physicality, the shit talking, the jawing back and forth, the pushing and shoving. We never see that anymore. Why? Because as soon as a player starts talking shit, their ass is thrown out of the game. A week or two ago, I got on Twitter. I praised NBA officials for how they were calling the first half of the Pelicans game. I can't remember who we were playing, but the officials, they were doing an excellent job in the first half. Game had a nice rhythm to it because the officials, they were actually letting the players play. We get into the second half, the game completely falls apart. All of a sudden, there is a whistle on every offensive possession. Both teams are in the bonus 5 minutes into the third quarter. When officials have a quick whistle, it disrupts the entire flow of the game. No one watches the NBA to watch officials call touch fouls. No one watches to watch players at the free throw line. Someone please tell me one person who watches the NBA for the officials. I don't watch the NBA to see the outcome of these games being determined at the fucking free throw line. There is no consistency in calls from one quarter to the next. Hell, there are times when there is no consistency in calls from one possession to the next. The other night, Antonio Daniels, he said that the Houston Rockets did a better job of adjusting in the fourth quarter to how the game was being called. Now, I like Antonio Daniels. I think he is the best broadcaster in the NBA, but I disagree with him here. It's kind of easy to adjust when all the calls are going your way. Not to mention the fact that players, they shouldn't have to worry about making adjustments to how the game is being called in the fourth quarter of the game. That should be figured out in the first quarter. Do I think Adam Silver is going to do anything about this? Do I think Adam Silver will even address this problem? Absolutely not. This current version of the NBA, it is exactly what Adam Silver wants it to be. I guess he got his wish. Last week, Adam Silver, he said he wanted fans and the media to talk more about the product on the court during the regular season. Well, here we are, Adam. We're talking about your product on the court. We're talking about how bad it fucking sucks. Let the players play. It's really that simple. Let the players play and get these god-awful officials out of the way. But give me your thoughts on this. Have you guys noticed the problems with officiating this season in the NBA? Do you think it's a problem, or am I just an NBA fan who's overreacting, a prisoner of the moment? Now, I'll be honest with you. I do have a tendency to overreact, at least in the moment when it comes to the Pelicans, but I have noticed these same issues watching other NBA games this season. Who do you blame for it? Do you put most of the blame on the officials, or do you put most of the blame on Adam Silver in the NBA front office? Let me know. Sound off in the comments below. Like, subscribe, share the video. I appreciate you guys and your continued support. Best way to contact me is by email at btlkc84@gmail.com, KC_BTL84 on Twitter. I'll see you guys tomorrow.